At sunset, a young woman stood on the porch of an old ranch. She silently looked at her lands, the only thing she had left. The furniture was covered with white sheets, and only on one table, among some papers, stood a lone, extinguished kerosene lamp. In the morning, a fancy carriage pulled up to the ranch. A man in a flawless black suit got out.
It's just land, miss. She doesn't remember names. Sign it and you'll get more than this place is worth.
This is my father's land, and as long as I live, it has an owner. Get out!
New troubles arrived. Part of the fence was broken, not by accident, but with intent. Her small herd was slowly scattering across the field. In desperation, she burst into the sheriff's office. But the law, in the form of a fat man, was busy. He was cleaning his revolver with feigned indifference.
Fences are breaking down, miss. Cows are getting away. This is the Wild West, not a boarding school for genteel young ladies. I don't have men to chase your cows.
Late in the evening, in the flickering light of a single candle, she took out an old wooden box that held fragments of the past. She took a photograph from the box. Next to it lay a slip of paper with an address, her last hope. The quills scratched across the paper, forming letters full of desperation and pleading. The foggy dawn found her already in the saddle. She rode her horse to the post station, entrusting her fate to that small sealed envelope. 100 miles away, under the scorching sun of another state, a tall cowboy with a weathered face received the letter while standing by a horse corral. The decision was made without a word. He silently turned, walked to his best horse, and began to saddle it with a determined look. The road led him through lifeless canyons. Day turned to night, but the lone rider stubbornly pushed forward. Under a vast, starry sky, he sat by a campfire. In his hands was that same photograph. That same night, trouble came to her ranch. 2 shadows darted toward the barn, and a moment later, tongues of flame leaped into the sky. She ran out of the house, panicked but not broken. With buckets in her hands, she rushed towards the fire, entering an unequal struggle with the element. The dawn brought only the smell of burning. Covered in soot, exhausted, she sat on the ground before the smoking ruins of her barn. And at that moment, a rider appeared on the horizon. Hope, which she had almost forgotten, made her slowly rise to her feet. He approached slowly. The cowboy she had known as a boy and the woman she had become silently looked at each other amidst the ashes.
Jake, I thought you weren't coming.
He turned away to hide his emotions and surveyed the destruction. His face, previously just concerned, now became hard. From that day on, the sound of a hammer was heard again at the ranch. Under the scorching sun, the cowboy repaired the fence while she watched him from the porch. She brought him a glass of cold water. The moment their hands touched, they smiled at each other for the first time in many years. The evening cool settled over the ranch. They sat on the porch. He cleaned his revolver and she mended clothes, and there was comfort in the silence.
I've been to many places, Alara, but wherever I went, I always remembered this sky. The sky above your house.
At the same time in the town saloon, gold jingled. The wealthy bandit passed a pouch of coins to the sheriff, buying the law and justice. The next day, the cowboy went to town. He walked down the dusty street, watching everyone around him. 2 hired guns with insolent smirks were waiting for him at the exit of the general store.
Tell Blackwood his dogs don't bother me. And get out of my way.
The fight was short and brutal. He moved quickly and precisely, turning their numerical advantage to dust. He left them lying on the ground. From his office window, the sheriff watched silently, his face showing clear displeasure. He returned to the ranch with bruises on his face. Seeing him, she ran up, and her eyes showed fear for him. There was more romance in that silence than in 100 spoken words. Their eyes met, and the world outside the room ceased to exist. He slowly leaned in and kissed her. She returned the kiss, placing her palm on his cheek. That touch held everything: tenderness, gratitude, and the promise of a future. From that day on, they were together not only in defense but also in work. He taught her to shoot, and the old Winchester in her hands became a weapon. A proud smile bloomed on her face. She was no longer defenseless. Their laughter echoed across the ranch. For one brief moment, they were just a man and a woman, happy under the vast sky. But they were being watched. From a distant hill, through binoculars, eyes full of venomous malice watched their happiness. At night, the cowboy took up his post on the porch again, the rifle on his lap a silent reminder of the coming storm. She came out to him with 2 mugs of hot coffee, breaking his lonely vigil. They sat side by side in the night silence, and that was more important than words.
You know, my parents always wanted me to stay here. They said that this land holds me. I didn't understand it then, but now I understand.
The law appeared at the ranch again, this time with 2 deputies. The sheriff had come not to protect, but to punish.
You will not take him away from me!
The sheriff's hand roughly shoved her aside. Faster than an eye could blink, the cowboy's revolver was in his hand. In response, hammers clicked, 3 against 1. There was no chance, but the cowboy didn't move, and his calmness was more terrifying than any threat.
Think, Sheriff, if Blackwood's skin is worth your own.
The law retreated, leaving only dust behind. She looked at him, and her gaze was a mixture of fear and immense gratitude.
They will return, and there will be more of them. Tonight, Alara, get ready.
They sat in the darkness, listening to every sound. He covered her hand with his, and that simple touch said everything.
If something happens, remember that I didn't come back for the land. I came back for you.
Dawn came not with the singing of birds, but with the thud of hooves. Several riders silently encircled their small world.
Come out, cowboy! You can't get away!
The house groaned under a hail of bullets. He fired from one window, she from another, and in this fiery chaos, they were one. There was no more fear on her face. With cold determination, she reloaded her rifle and fired, answering every shot.
Forward, lazy dogs!
A bullet found him. Pain seared his shoulder, and he collapsed to the floor. She rushed to him, ignoring the whistling bullets. Grabbing bandages, she desperately tried to stop the bleeding. With a deafening crash, the door flew off its hinges. Jake was already ready to shoot. She stood behind him, pressing the rifle stock to her shoulder. 2 hearts beating together in the face of death. 2 shots merged into one. The first to burst into the house collapsed on the threshold, without taking a single step inside. The man in the black suit realized his subordinates couldn't handle it. With a face twisted in fury, he decided to finish the job himself.
I love you very much, Alara.
I love you too, Jake.
The cunning enemy crept to the side, to an unprotected window, and raised his revolver, preparing to strike from behind. Without thinking, he shielded her with his body, and in that same instant, a bullet shattered the lamp. He fired back, at the sound, at the movement. He emptied his revolver. A scream of pain from outside confirmed it. The bullet had found its mark. The sheriff, seeing the shameful retreat, decided it was time to disappear. He quietly slipped out of his hiding place and rode away.
Alara, it seems we have won.
Yes, we won, Jake. We won.
He suddenly coughed, and her smile froze. A large bloodstain appeared on his chest, but the enemy was not yet defeated. Overcoming the pain, the man in the black suit picked up his revolver. The world collapsed. She looked at his glassy eyes, and a silent scream of horror and loss tore from her chest. Grief gave way to blind fury. Grabbing her rifle, she ran out of the house. Her target, a limping figure trying to escape his due. The man who wanted to take everything from her fell face down in the dirt, never reaching his getaway horse. Alara knelt beside him and pressed her hand to his cooling one. The sun was high, indifferently illuminating the tragic scene. She had defended her land, but had lost everything. Inside, in the silence of the ruined house, a lone woman sat, embracing her dead happiness.